So same for this particular one park. For one park, if you see the vegetation index, this is the real aspect how the park actually appears. This is the normalized different vegetation index that we calculated, and this is the temperature in this particular park. If you see, you have vegetation here. All right, see, this temperature was around 26 degrees. This is 29 degrees. This temperature, and the moment you have this again a bare land, no vegetation cover, this all temperature increased at the next category of 32 to 36 degrees. You can see this big patch. So imagine within this park, at this place it is cooler, at this place is now if this is a public, yes, it is a public space. It is created for the public use, and here it is specifically meant to be a park. If it is specifically meant to be a park, then the authorities or the civic body or the municipalities or whosoever, right, is concerned to maintain these small green patches must look into the aspect of the vegetation health of this area. Had this improved, so this park would create a lot of benefit to the people living around and to the larger target of the mitigating the climate change and the local microclimate. This is another path, another sample. See, this is rich green. In between, there is a this small place. For whatever reasons, it is a bare soil. So you can see that difference of bare soil also, and you can also see here there is a difference of temperature, but there is no red and orange. Red and orange was on the higher side of temperature. Okay, so you see this because maybe the area is small, or maybe the rest part is much green. I'll show you one more sample. Look at these. Look at these. So same ways it is showing the vegetation index, and same ways it is also showing the temperature conditions. So we have taken samples, some samples of such big parks where the health of vegetation, we can clearly see the relationship between the health of vegetation and the temperature conditions. Now, if we look into this aspect here, we are only I'm only targeting to show the relationship between temperature conditions and the health of vegetation. Because when we're talking of the city, we have either concrete, whether it's residential or commercial, right? Or these some small green patches. There's no other way that we can have in boast about the naturally occurring green spaces. So all those cities, all those other places which have some natural green areas are really big privilege. See that unplanned residential areas with no parks have a higher temperature in a particular region where anywhere the vegetation index is negative. So there is no vegetation and no open area for vegetation. Even there is no such area which is open and naturally some vegetation will come up. Sorry, something has come up. Right. No vegetation or open area where some natural vegetation come in the rainy season may come up and develop on its own. Even that kind of a situation is not possible. So the places where parks are at proximity to planned residential areas have higher vegetation index values and shows a difference of 1 to 3 Celsius of temperature. And in the current study area, it has been seen maximum temperature as 35 degrees Celsius. And at other places with the rich green as 29 degrees Celsius. The unplanned residential localities where there is no green space are the most affected by the heat, because it is these areas which are creating the kind of thing that we're talking, that is the heat island. And that is where, if I take you on one of the previous slides, oh, sorry, just go from here and put it there. You can clearly see a kind of a linear thing here, that there's a line, and beyond this line there's something different, and beyond this line. So because this all is a river catchment area, we have a river catchment area, and after that is the all the residential areas or the commercial areas that has developed. So it is evident that the areas with the densely populated, and there are few patches of green. So the sustainability of the region through green areas is of concern today. There are areas with absolutely no greens and no open space. And there are areas where by default planning we are now trying to come up, now we have to leave certain green spaces in between. So it is very significant, very important to maintain. Another important aspect, that not only that, as part of planning you keep certain areas for the perspective that these will be used as a public spaces and open spaces for people's use. You also, the local bodies also have to look into the aspect, also have to look into that the health of the vegetation for those areas is also maintained. So until and unless the quality of vegetation in these parks are maintained, health of the vegetation in these parks are maintained, the provision of parks will not do much to you. So if in the cities we are facing the heat island, so we have to mitigate, to cope up, we have to parallelly also create the small pockets of cool island. So these parks, these planned green spaces will work as these small pockets of cool islands. So you have to work in this direction. The civic bodies, nations, the cities, they have to work that such interlaced green places, green spaces, green public spaces particularly, are very, very significant. So to conclude on this particular aspect, development, yes, important, revitalization and sustainability of the park. So we need to develop these parks. We have to create these parks. We also need to revitalize if they're not. And the sustainability of these parks will contribute to larger, resilient or sustainable regions, sustainable places, sustainable cities. It's very important that we work in, that the civic bodies work in this direction. With these, I come to the end of my talk and discussion.